right, music fans, welcome back. It is Dave. It is the Real Music Observer, observing real music in real time for real people, just like you right there and yours truly right here. Well, Journey, as you may know if you're following their tour, has a few days off until they hit the road again on July 1st. And yesterday I got a tweet which to me really indicates where this band is at, even though you have to read into some things in order to process what's actually happening. I'll call it the rock and roll media, the classic rock media for the most part, has put out the narrative that relationships within this band have reset. A lot of pictures sent out through Live Nation that shows all three guitar players, including Ross Valory, who's on the bass guitar, all lined up, kind of enjoying, playing next to one another. And there are smiles that have been tweeted out and so forth. But I don't think everything is going as well as it could. And here's why. Def Leppard, constantly talking about a new album and new tracks. Phil Collen, in a couple of articles yesterday, talking about the possibility of new music and the direction it's going and so forth. And that's a band that's unified and creative and moving forward. Whereas yesterday I got a tweet, I believe, from Jonathan Cain, the keyboard player. Now keep in mind, you've got 10 days, okay, and he's going to go and record an entire new album of worship music. Yeah. Look, folks, again, not totally sold on John Cain as a lead vocalist. You can go listen to some of this stuff if you want to. If you're a fan of that type of music, I would probably recommend guys like Chris Tomlin and Matt Redman and so forth, but actually, they're really not my cup of tea either. They're just good at what they do in that genre. And here's a guy who's maybe getting into his twilight years a little bit, and he's, out there trying to sort of get into a market which is not going to probably allow him in. Now, I think he's banking on the fact that some folks who love Journey are just going to follow him and buy it because, he'll get a bump because there are so many people that just like Journey that are just going to pick up everybody's solo albums. But you've got 10 days off and basically you're going to create your own album, all right, which I'm sure has been in the pipeline now for a while. I'm sure it's already written and ready to be recorded. Wouldn't it have been cool if the members of Journey got into the studio and maybe recorded a couple of new tracks for the fans for the rest of this summer? And maybe one of those tracks could be played live in concert during Journey's rather mundane set, although there have been a few surprises here and there. For the most part, this is a well-regulated playlist, and for real die-hard fans who would probably like to hear a deep cut now and then, there really isn't that much for those folks. But the cultural folks that want to hear Don't Stop Believin' for the millionth time, they're all pumped and jazzed. So this is just an observation from yours truly. I'm not saying the band is angry at one another or they can't get along. But this shows, especially in contrast with Def Leppard, who's talking about new music. Journey could have created some new music. At the beginning of the tour, Jonathan Cain talked about that and how, they've got some things in the works. They were very generic and esoteric type statements. There were no specifics. And the first thing he does when he has time off, not chill out with his wife or whatever, but to go into the studio and make another one of these albums. And quite honestly, from my perspective, I'm really not interested in that. Neil Sean has an album, I believe, in the can, ready to go for the fall. But notice he's, not waiting or not going out and recording during the time off. At least I don't think he is. He hasn't mentioned that, but Kane took liberty to mention it. And I think it just shows that things aren't 100% the way they used to be. This used to be a creative band in their heyday that would work together. Even during the Odd Jerry years, I think they had some stuff going on. During the Arnell years, it seems as though the band is less willing to create music and more willing just to sort of live off their catalog. And I would guess that's probably what certain band members want. I'm not sure it's what Neil Sean wants, but that's just me looking at all of the angles here. So interesting developments, but unless you're a really hardcore Journey, maybe you don't care about it. I'm just throwing it out there as an obvious truth that has been probably apparent now since after the Eclipse album came out. All right, so that's my video. I'm done. I'll be back soon. Stay tuned for more. See you then.